Welcome to Sunspots, where we highlight the many ministries and missions happening on the surface of the sun. That is, the Synod of the Sun, a region of the Presbyterian Church, USA. We are Presbyterians in Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas, with dynamic and hopeful ministry happening in the name of Jesus Christ. Our prayer is that you find inspiration, community, and connection in the Sun. Welcome to this edition of Sunspots. Let's get started. And now, here's your host, Synod Leader and Stated Clerk, Valerie Young.
Well, good morning. This is our third, I believe, installation podcast on camps and conference centers within the Synod of the Sun. And today I am joined by James Myers from the Buffalo Gap Presbyterian Camp. Buffalo Gap is just outside of Abilene, Texas, for those who may not know. And James is joining us from under the Trinity Tree at Buffalo Gap. It's beautiful. For those who are listening, really, you have to go on and look at the YouTube video because it's a beautiful spot. Welcome, James. I'm so glad to be talking to you today.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here after the last couple of months or last year.
Right. Yeah. So tell me, James, a little bit about you and your role at the camp, and then we'll talk some more in depth about the camp itself.
Well, I'm James Myers. I've been here at the camp as manager for the last, 13 years as of a couple of days ago. My background before that, I worked for the Boy Scouts for 7 years, and then I was the director of Christian education at First Central Presbyterian here in Abilene.
Okay.
And then came out here and have been manager here at the property for the last 13 years. And it's been a joy and a delight and a blessing for me and my family to be here.
Yeah, 13 years. Wow, time flies. Okay, so tell us about Buffalo Gap Presbyterian Camp.
Well, let's see, how much history would you?
I want to make sure that we're including the types of facilities that you have and how to find you as well. So
Yeah, Buffalo Gap Presbyterian Encampment has been here since 1921. This is our centennial 100-year anniversary this summer. And we're located right smack in the middle of downtown Buffalo Gap, which actually puts us on the edge of town. Buffalo Gap's about 500 people population, very small town south of Abilene.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful Buffalo Gap is an oasis of oak trees in the West Texas, at the edge of the West Texas high plains. And we've got tons of shade. There's oak trees here that have been here for hundreds of years. The camp is about 11 acres in size, which is small by most camps, tiny by most camps. But you can walk from one end of it to the other in just a short while. That makes it very nice in terms of feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Facilities wise, we have we've got a large dining hall with a full kitchen and everything anybody would ever need for cooking there. We've got 6 cabins that sleep 15 to 20 people each in bunk beds. They're air conditioned and heated. A central bathhouse. One of the long-term projects that we're wanting to work on is build bathrooms onto the cabins so each one can be a standalone true cabin. And we've got a giant soccer field, tennis courts, volleyball, horseshoes, playground that's lit for nighttime, and then we have our swimming pool, which is a gigantic 80 feet by 40 foot swimming pool built back in the 80s inside the original pool, which was dug with mules back in the 20s.
Wow.
And giant swimming pool down in a hollow with a pool pavilion building that was built in the mid-20s. Great old building. It's a great vibe to it when you go in there. And that's pretty much the facility. We got a couple other small buildings we use for various things. We have a craft house that's an old World War II barracks building from what used to be Camp Barkley here outside of Abilene.
Mm-hmm.
Use that for arts and crafts, and kids write their names all over the inside of it. And that's pretty much our visit. We're not a great big camp. We don't have rock climbing and rappelling and a lot of the fancy things. But what we do pride ourselves here for campers that come is that it's very much a relationship and a family, kind of like an old school church camp.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the kids arrive on Sunday, typically for a camp session. They arrive on a Sunday afternoon, and by Monday lunch for sure, normally by Monday breakfast, everybody knows everybody else's names. The counselors make it a point to learn the kids' names and learn about them that first night. And they've made it a very intentional point for the staff to build relationships here and to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have all the fancy, flashy, high adventure type camp stuff here, but what we do have is a good old school relationship building place where people come and they feel loved and everybody and they feel known and listened to, and they build relationships with each other and with the Lord. And it's been a very intentional part of our staff for years and years. We've got what I consider to be an excellent staff, having worked at a couple different camps. We have excellent staff year to year. Almost all of them grew up coming to camp here, and so they've got there's a strong sense of community and relationship, and what a sacred space this is, property, and what a wonderful place it is. They can be here and help carry that on.
Mm-hmm. So tell us something about the programmatic side of the camp. What do those camps look like for the kids?
Okay. Typical camp is a week long. We do have a mini camp for first, second, third graders, which is 3 overnights, which is just about, that's the perfect time. Much more than
Yeah.
that, you run into homesickness, and much less than that, and they don't feel like they've been to camp. But for little guys, that's perfect. Our elementary and middle school and then our high school retreat is a week long. They arrive Sunday night. We do check-in, swim checks, get settled in the cabins, get kids divided up into their family groups and whatnot. And then we have evening games that night to dinner. And then during the week, in the mornings, we typically have round robins between where the family groups go around and cycle through. There's a Bible study. We do crafts, and then we do games to help them get to know each other and become familiar and to relax with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Also just have some fun. And then we have lunchtime, and we've got an awesome cook, and Miss Debbie has been cooking here for longer than I've been here. And she loves on the kids during lunchtime, and we sing prayers before lunch and then have fun with lunch and do mail call. And if you get mail, you get to sing get to do the brown squirrel dance, which nobody knows how long that's been happening here, but that's one of those old camp traditions. And after lunch, we have feed on bunk time. You don't have to go to sleep. You don't have to be in your bunk, but your feet must be on your bunk. So for a little rest time in the afternoon. And then we'll typically go down to the pool and swim for several hours, have some water Olympics or pool games of some sort of activity down there at the pool. Everybody goes down there. After that, we clean up and might have an afternoon game. Sometimes we'll do that before. If it's going to be something out running around, we'll do that before swim time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have dinner. And after dinner, we have a camp-wide game. It varies. One night is capture the flag camp-wide. And then another night would be counselor hunt, where the counselors go and hide and the campers find them. And if the campers find all the counselors, then they get to push them in the pool. And then we'll have Thursday night we have a talent show and for an evening activity. And it's amazing some of the talents some of these campers have. I've had neighbors 2 years ago. I had a young man, one of the campers, very quiet, reserved young man, for the talent show. He wanted to sing, and so he sang. I don't even remember the song, but beautiful voice. The neighbors, the people that live just south of camp, called me up on the phone the next day and were asking, "Who was that you had down there singing?" They were.
Wow. Discovered at Buffalo Gap. Yeah.
I mean, this young man has a fantastic voice. And so we have a talent show, and we end that with a dance, and then we'll have a Thursday night. We have a big fancy dinner. Everybody dresses up. We have a formal last night dinner, and then Friday morning we get up, do the last minute cleanup, get everybody packed, and then we have a closing worship on Friday morning at 10 o'clock, and then that closes out our camp session. So
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, so that's our week in a nutshell. It's every day we have a different theme, which we tie into our weekly theme, and we try and tie everything in from morning, what we call Greet the Sun. We have a little morning opening worship, very short, right before breakfast. From that to the Bible studies to evening vespers, even the prayers we do at meals. We try and tie it all together into the yearly theme,
Mm-hmm.
and make it all, try to tie it all back to the Bible and to our Bible verses. And so like I said, it's kind of an old school church camp.
That's awesome. So what are let's talk about pre-COVID right now. What is your normal capacity for campers? And as a follow-up, what does that look like for you in 2021? Will it look different?
Normally our capacity, we haven't run at full capacity here for about maybe 1 or 2 sessions since I've been here. Like I said, we could 6 cabins times probably 20 people at the most in them. That'd be 120 people, campers plus staff, and we haven't. I believe the biggest session we've had here was 80 campers and 20 staff. We came close to it, but most of our sessions tend to be smaller. We tend to have 40, maybe 50 campers
Mm-hmm.
in a session, and so most sessions we may not use all the cabins. We may, just depending on what the kids want to do. If the girls all want to jam into 2 cabins, they do some years. If they don't, they'll spread out. And this year with COVID, we're going to be doing pods, is what they're calling it. So instead of normally we would divide the kids they'd have 2 basic groups that they would meet during the week. One would be their cabin mates. We have 3 boys cabins and 3 girls cabins, and so they'd have their cabin mates that they would interact with, and then they have their family groups, and that would be a mix of boys from other cabins, girls from other cabins, just kind of a mix of everybody. This year, with the pods, we're going to basically take 1 boys cabin and match it up with 1 girls cabin, and that'll be their pod. That'll be the group that they'll interact with when they're at Bible study, when they go to crafts and games.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we'll limit the overall exposure. Of course, we're still working on how we're going to do our outdoor games. I think outdoors, right now we'll still have camp-wide games since it's outdoors, and they tend to spread out all over camp anyway during that time. So
Mm-hmm.
social distancing shouldn't be that big of an issue at that point. But yeah, this summer we're going to spread out. We'll use all 6 cabins. And on the one hand, that kind of COVID-19 bums me out because, last year we didn't have an in-person camp.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're looking at it, and I love the old camp where kids just come out and run wild and do go where they want, do what they want largely. With the restrictions with the pod thing, on the one hand, it bothers me, they're going to be missing out on meeting other kids or interacting as closely with like a boy in another cabin, say.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, they'll have more time to to make deeper relationships with those who are in their pods. So
Right.
it won't be as broad-based. It'll be a little more in-depth within groups. So there's some give and take there. But I think we'll, between, we've got several medical people here locally who are helping give us guidelines, and with what we're planning, the way we're planning on, I think it's going to work out. So, in spite of the restrictions that we've got to deal with.
Yeah. So are your plans for the pods, does that restrict the number? Does that restrict your capacity? Or
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess what I'm asking is there room is there room for more campers?
I would say yes, because typically we don't run at full capacity
Mm-hmm.
for the number of bunks and things that we've had, that the camp has. So I don't see it. Yeah, we'll spread it out and we'll use all 6 cabins, but we typically don't do that. So if we look at the numbers from 2019, we could. I don't see it being a problem as far as not having any room for anybody. If anybody's interested in coming to camp, by all means come. And if we do fill up the cabins to where we feel that's a problem, we've got other buildings we can adapt.
Oh,
And
good.
we can move
Okay.
some buildings around. We've got a portable classroom here that we normally use for meeting space. We could turn it into a cabin if need be. And so I'd
Oh,
love
that's
that,
awesome.
by the way.
Yeah, super. So you mentioned portable building for meeting space. So do you offer does the camp have other programmatic offerings for adults or anything like that? Or is it or available for rental for groups?
Yeah, we do. We don't necessarily have programmatic offerings because we offer our facilities for rent.
Mm-hmm.
Have absolutely, we're available for other groups. We have a lot of family reunions that come here on weekends, starting Memorial Day through almost October.
Oh, cool.
Many of these, there's several reunions that have been coming here for, I lose count, 80 plus years, continuous, having their reunions here at Buffalo
Wow.
Gap. And that's very neat watching those. You've got 3-4 generations of family members coming out, and you hear stories of my great grandpa. I came out here when I was little, and my grandpa came here, and there's a lot of love here for this property, and a lot of for the people to come here. So yeah, we ran out to, gosh, we have the Presbytery has their camp here. 4-H has
Mm-hmm.
has a camp here. We've got West Texas Rehab comes out, does a day camp with all their kids from the West Texas Rehab, and that's amazing to see what the rehab does with those kids. I'm tickled that we can help them and be a part of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of groups that come out, pool parties. If a group comes out here, we provide lifeguards while they're here. They just let me know what time they need them, and I'll make sure we've got lifeguards on hand.
Oh, that's cool. So how can people get more information, not only about the camp for kids, but about the use of the facilities?
Yeah, probably the best way is a couple of ways. We have a website, which we're working on getting updated. We've got a new social media director we brought on board part-time here to help us out with that. That's not my forte, but our website is www.buffalogapcamp.org. And so you can go to our website, and there's some photographs of some of the facilities on there and the campgrounds. And that's where our online registration is for summer camps. And then we have a Facebook page for Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. So that'll pull us up. And then we also have an Instagram, which is new, which I'm not sure what the address is on that, but I'm not an Instagram person.
That's okay. I'm going to go look for all these things and link them in the show notes so that people aren't, writing things down and all of that, they can always go to the Synod's webpage and find that information there, or on the YouTube. I'll post it there as well.
Yay, thank you. It's like that. The Instagram is so new, and I'm not an Instagrammer, so
I'll also, if it's all right with you, include your email address and a phone number for the camp, so that people can reach you. So what are some ways that people can help to support the camp? I know that the future of camping, camps have been suffering over the last, so many years. And I'm interested in learning from you what you think the future of camping is, specifically at Buffalo Gap, but also how we can help to support you.
well, yeah, camps. I think in general, gosh, even when I worked back for the Boy Scouts and was running their camps, um, camping is not what it once was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, or
Mhm.
probably even the 80s. But I think some camps have gone to high adventure, and they're trying to have all the excitement and all the exciting things to do at camp. And I think that's one direction you can go. I think another direction is the direction we've kind of um, we don't have the property to expand out and put in a giant. We don't have the space to put in a
Mhm.
big course or horseback riding or whatnot. So we're kind of limited in that. So we've just made it very purposeful that we're going to be about relationships and about old school camps. And I think um, that's working well for us. It's like I say, if you ask people who've been here a couple times as campers, what do you think about that? What they'll tell you is that you won't hear about, oh, I had so much fun doing. Well, they might, I had fun down at the pool or whatnot, but really, what they'll tell you about is I made so many good friends there, and
Mhm.
I learned a lot. And then as they get older in high school and college, you start hearing, yeah, my faith was deepened while I was there.
Yeah.
I think that's really our core mission, and so that's where we're really focused on. If somebody wanted to help camp, of course, any small nonprofit, we're our own nonprofit. We're not owned by the Presbytery or by any one church. We have our own board of directors made up of area churches who are on the board. Um, if anybody wanted us, we're always looking for, always use financial support,
Mhm.
and we're working on uh, an online portal where people could donate online. Where we're here real shortly. Since it is our centennial, we've worked up a wish list of, if the sky was the limit, what would we like to do facilities wise here at camp? What would we like to, so we have this wish list of things like the bathrooms on the cabin. And so we're
Mhm.
going to be posting that. And if somebody wants to contribute to one or more of those items on there, some are large, some are small. And if somebody wants to contribute towards the large one or pay for that small one outright, we'll have a mechanism for that to happen and them to be recognized for it. So we're looking at online giving. If somebody's not into online giving, you can always just mail us a check and we will gratefully accept. Never
Paper
turn down
still works, right?
never turn down a donation. Just like never complain about rain.
Right.
And or if somebody wants to just come out here and see the property and visit it and or help out with some of the projects we've got going around camp. I live here on the property. I'm here all the time. I'd love to give anybody that shows up a nickel tour of the place and see what
Mhm.
show them what's
Well,
going on.
I can vouch for the fact that the camp is beautiful. It's been a number of years since I've been there, but I did spend now I've not attended a camp, but I have worshiped under that Trinity tree for sunrise Easter morning services for a number of years. And it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it really is. It, like I mentioned earlier, this is an oasis of oak trees, and God has blessed us. The grounds are beautiful. We have wild deer. It's not unusual at all to see deer wandering through camp at any hour of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of wildlife, and just the natural outdoor beauty here is really something else.
Yeah. You mentioned your centennial a couple of times. Are there plans for a celebration, or maybe were there plans? Have those been adapted? What does the celebration of a centennial look like?
Well, we're going to have we're looking at two major events. Um, One is going to be a reunion. I believe we're discussing the date. We had it set for date in July, but we got a scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a reunion here at camp, an event this summer where we're going to open it up. And if you were a counselor or a camper or came here to the reunion, or if you have any connection at all, then you're please more than welcome to come and bring your friends and enjoy the property for a weekend. We'll have you can stay in cabins, or we have RV hookups if you have a trailer you want to bring it, and we'll be doing have the pool going and have some activities set up around camp, and have just a not a family reunion, but a camp reunion.
Yeah.
For anybody who's wants to come and enjoy the property. So we'll have that this summer, and then we're planning on having a fundraising event in partnership with Perini Ranch right down the road, Tom Perini's Steakhouse, if you're familiar with. And we've talked to them about putting together a fundraising event, dinner and whatnot, with some entertainment for them. And so
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. If you've been to Abilene, if you've lived in Abilene like I have, you know the Perini name. And so yeah, that could make a big difference. That's a great partnership.
yeah,
Well, super. I hope you'll share that information about a celebration with the Synod so we can help you get the word out.
Right.
We would love to help you promote that celebration of the centennial. That sounds like fun.
It's going to be a fun summer. We've got I can't say yet, but at that fundraising event, we're working on having there's a local artist, singer, who lives in the area, and we're trying to engineer it where we can have some really high quality entertainment at that dinner as well.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. Thank you so much, James. Is there anything I've missed? Or
Oh goodness. We just finished repainting our cabins for the first time since they were built, and so now if you come back out, they're going to look different.
okay.
We're doing a lot of sprucing up and painting and cleaning and whatnot. But we've done a lot of cleaning for COVID last year, but now we're putting a lot of the finishing touches on spiffing things up for our centennial and doing a lot of upgrades in camp. So if you haven't in a while, when you do get here, it's going to be the same but very different.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today, James. I hope to hear more about the celebration so we can help you get the word out about that. And again, I will put all of the information about how folks can find Buffalo Gap Camp online. I'll put all of that in the show notes so folks can find you.
Thank you. Kind.
Yeah, I hope you have a blessed summer, a blessed camping season.
I hope so too. The Lord, one thing I've learned working out here is that the Lord provides. And
Amen. Yeah. Yep. Thanks again so much for being with me, James. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
In the Synod of the Son, we believe we work together across boundaries. We make visible the good news and find wholeness in the body of Christ. In our common calling, we impact lives together. So let's remember to connect with, equip, and empower one another in the name of Jesus Christ. Today and every day.